will take it was originally a 10-minute break. We're going to cut that down. We're starting a little bit later because of the parking. It didn't make much sense for us to start at 6:30 and have half of you still coming in. Next year, this will have to be on a Saturday. As an LSC, we've grown tremendously, and right now, we can say thank you to Dad's Club. If you see somebody from Dad's Club on the pool deck in the coming weeks, please tell them thank you, because this is a huge inconvenience for them tonight, and we have stretched all of their resources really thin. So they need a huge thank you from us as an LSC. One housekeeping, if you had a meet in September, we've had a lot of changes this year administratively. Lauren Fishbach, who is our membership administrative assistant, is over there. If you haven't met Lauren yet, say hello. She's handling your registration. She's doing all of the meet files prior to meets. They need to be submitted to Lauren after the meet for reconciliation. Okay? She will do what Annette did. If you have problems, you should have fixed everything before the meet. Then after the meet, if you've got issues with athletes that deck entered, she'll get back to you on that. She'll tell you your meet file is clear, and you send it to Rick Kellenbach. Rick Kellenbach is still our times coordinator, and Rick will send it to the webmaster. Just like this year, our sanctions coordinator, Paige Sycamore, is the only one sending announcements to the webmaster for posting. If you have a dual meet, a tri-meet, and it's not an open meet to everyone, it may not get posted on the website because we don't want to confuse parents. We don't want them showing up thinking that they can go to your meet and they're not allowed to enter your meet. So any questions on that? If we speak too fast, raise your hand. And remember, there is a sign-up sheet going around. You need to sign the sheet if you want credit for being here tonight. Remember, renewing meet directors do not have to take the test, but you have to be present tonight. All right, so meet directors training, here we go, guys. So here's the agenda for tonight. It's general information. Why am I here? Okay, who's who? Who's the meet rep? Who's the chief judge? Who is the sanctions coordinator? What does the AO do? Why do I have to be here? Who is the meet director? That's you. And why annual certification? Okay. The pre-meet planning. Okay. Consistently throughout the presentation, you will see a timeline reference. That timeline is on the website for you to access and pull down and follow as you plan your meet. It's invaluable. It covers everything. So pre-meet planning, facility, the meet sanction meet announcement, meet manager files, the team manager HYV file, renting the Gulf swimming equipment. Eddie Adams, our equipment coordinator, is going to talk to you about that. Inventory your meet operations equipment, the meet, and then questions and answers. So once we get to the meet, we will have the receiving of entries. That is you, the meet director. Swimmer reconciliation. Lauren will help you with that. Problems with your database that you have to fix. Meet operations and procedures, results and reports. Again, we'll have a time for question and answers. Okay. If you ask a question, please speak loudly because we are recording tonight's session. It will go on the Gulf Swimming YouTube channel because for those people who weren't able to be here tonight, they can watch the video, take the test, and get certified. So, why are you here tonight? Some of you, it might be because my team requires volunteer hours and meet director seems like a fun job. My team asked me to come. Somebody I know coerced me into this. Okay? You know, it's really, really important though, after this presentation and as you sit here tonight, that you really think about, is this the right position for me? Okay? Do I have the skill set, the personality, and the temperament to do this? Because there are tons of ways you can help your team. So, what is a meet director? Well, it's a USA swimming rule, so we're going to read through it really quick. You're appointed by the meet host, so your team asks you to do this. Okay? Responsibilities include, but, that's a big but, are not limited to the awards, securing the facility. Okay? These don't all apply to the meet director. Every team is a little bit different. With some teams, First Colony swim team, Carl doesn't have to secure the facility, the team does that. Okay? Obtaining the meet sanction. you will deal with Paige Sikkema and Gulf Swimming's office on the meat station. Preparing the facility, okay? Arranging for personnel, those are your volunteers. Arranging for volunteers. Equipment and the supplies necessary for meat entries, processing the meat entries. Those are the athletes that are going to swim. Are you going to print meat programs and heat sheets, or are you going to take advantage of Gulf Swimming's new rule and charge $2 extra and provide the heat sheet online? Okay? It's an option. Okay? Are you going to arrange for publicity and media coverage? That's relevant if it's a big meet. We've had world records set in our LSC. I don't think they stand anymore, but at one time it was a world record. Still does? Okay. Preparing, distributing.
Same person broke it.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but it's not here. So preparing, distributing meet results, filing, and the LSC post-meet reports. Okay, there's a lot of stuff that still has to be done in that week following the meet. All right. So who is who? We talked a little bit about the meet director. Andrea Wallin, I'd like to introduce her. She is the head of our officials committee for the LSC. She's also the officials recruiter extraordinaire. That is what we like to call her. No, in all honesty, I'm going to plug Andrea. Y'all, we've had about a 30% growth in our officials since Andrea's become the officials chair. And we are grateful for that because we've had extraordinary growth. It's the bottom. Yeah.
Sorry,
You want to push the other one, but it's not the other.
Training on how to use the remote. Sorry about that. Thank you so much for coming. They tell me I talk fast, so I'm going to go real fast because we have lots to cover tonight. Who is the meet referee? So there's the rule number, like y'all want to go look in the rule book right away. Basically, the meet referee has full authority over all officials to assign and instruct them, enforce all rules, decide all questions relating to the conduct of the meet, the final settlement of which is not otherwise assigned by said rules. So in other words, meet directors, work with your meet referee. Chances are they've probably been at it for quite a bit longer than you, although I understand there's some meet directors in here that have been doing it for a very long time, with a huge thank you from all of us. They can overrule any meet official on a point of rule interpretation or on a judgment decision pertaining to an action which the referee has personally observed. Click. I did it right. Go meet.
Yeah.
Meet referee, meet director. Again, work together to make sure that the meet is conducted properly. If you have any questions at all, then you're working with your meet referee to make sure that you guys come up with an agreement on how it's going to go. The meet referee has full authority over the meet and is responsible for enforcing the USA Swimming rules and regulations for the meet, and that's what the meet referees are trained to do. So count on them. Work with them. Communicate with them. It'll pay off for you. You'll end up having a great meet. Find someone you enjoy working with and recruit them early for your meet. At the bottom, you don't need to write it down, but if you go to the gulfswimming.org website, great information source, FYI, under officials, it's a roster list of officials. There is a list just of the meet referees. There's 21 in the Gulf. Any of them, regardless of team attachment, are eligible and certified and qualified to help you. And I encourage you to contact them well in advance, because everybody books up. You can imagine, right? Lots of meets, lots of things. So make sure you kind of communicate to them ahead of time, and try not to leave yourself in the last minute panic mode. Best advice like that. Who's the administrative official? Well, this was put in a number of years ago, a couple years ago, by USA Swimming decided that they needed to have an official on the dry side, working with the console operators, the timing, checking the times. They shall be responsible to the referee. They work under the referee, making sure that they entry registration process, the clerk of course, timing, equipment operators, scoring personnel, other administrative personnel. When you guys run meets, some of you will be running meets at facilities that have paid staff doing that. Other places you will have parent volunteers doing that. The administrative official is the one who will work directly with the referee. They supervise. They don't actually do all those jobs. And believe me, at the clinic, they all had we don't have to know all those jobs, do we? So they don't need to know all those jobs, but they have to be able to supervise and work with those positions on the dry side. Their responsibilities include accurate processing of entries and scratches, seating and determining and posting official times and results, as well as any other assigned duties. Oh, and some more information. Having that certified official as an overview of the needs will make your meet run smoother, make sure that your results are accurate, super important, because after all, why are we there? Fundamental reason for having them is we make sure that the times are right for those swimmers. The administrative officials will supervise and work is an administrative position but may not work on deck. They can only do the AO position. What this means is that for every meet session, there's an additional official involved, which is why we had to recruit. So each meet does require a minimum of a meet referee, deck referee, a starter, stroke and turn judge, and an AO. And the bottom line, again I repeat, the AO cannot work in any other capacity. So, how do I get my officials? I'm a meet director. How do I get my officials? Check the sign-up system. It's online. It's on that golf swimming website I just talked about. You can go to meets, and then there's a button that says officials. Check your meet. Check and see how it's looking. Communicate with your meet referee. A lot of times the meet referees are doing that job for you, but the meet directors could jump right in there and help out and contact officials of attending teams if you're, depending on who's coming, you all know who's coming to your meet. Recruit officials from your own team. Encourage your own team. Get your people to send out something and say, hey, everybody jump in, we need some help here, that'd be great. Okay, I set up officials representatives on all the teams that had officials, so work with them. They've been brilliant, they're so good, they're communicating with the coaches and the administrators and talk to them and get them to do the rah-rah help out speech. Again, I already said 21 meet referees, but the full list of officials that are sorted by team is on that information website. So if you need to get a list and all the email addresses are there, again, golfswimming.org under officials and roster lists. And this is brand new, this is important, please listen, it'll be covered again later. In an effort to encourage participation, we got this passed, it's effective September 1st. So when you have visiting officials come to work your meets that are golf-sponsored meets, so the Golf Opens, the championship meets, etc., those visiting officials now make money for their teams. So as a meet director, you will be responsible to fill out a one-page form. I'm going to show you in a second. I don't expect you to be able to see it, but you'll get the basic idea, where you will just go to the meet ref. You don't have to go to the meet referee. Just go to their check-in sheet. They always have a check-in sheet in hospitality, wherever they have their meetings. You go in and you do one of these babies. You go, okay, ABC team had 5 officials. Write the number 5 down. That's how hard it is. And then when you fill out your form, you just have those numbers. You send it in with your financial stuff, and the treasurer will add it all up. At the end of short course season, the teams will get a rebate for how many officials they had working how many sessions, and it will help the teams recoup some of the money that they're paying out to register these new officials as non-athletes. So I'm pretty excited about that. So don't expect to be able to see this, but basically bottom line is this is a column of all the teams and all the teams that have officials, and then it's got the different session numbers. So for session 1, you had 5 there, you had 10 there, you had 12 there, and I know I'm dreaming, but I'm really hopeful. We've got, a lot more, that all adds up. Bonus! Rebate for the teams. And how do we monitor that? So this you don't need to know. That was your one-page sheet, that last one. That's all you have to do, one page, super easy. Those sheets will go in, and Tom Haas, the treasurer, will add those to this log sheet, and it already calculates, and at the end he's going to go, I'm going to cut a check for this much money for ABC team. End of story, and boom, on. Nailed it. Any questions? Yes, I know I talk fast. Yes, sir.
For visiting teams, is that like if you're assigned to a particular location, would you be considered a visiting team?
Yes, yeah, so non-hosted. Let's say non-hosted.
Okay, so if you're not hosting anybody that's officiating.
Yep, correct. Anybody else? Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Paige Sikkema. I'm the sanction coordinator. I've been doing this job for about 2 years now, so I know a lot of your names because we email each other a lot. And hopefully you know my name because I'm who you're sending that stuff to. I am also the new Safe Sport coordinator for the golf. And so part of my job is to work with meet directors on safety marshal training. Okay, so that's why I'm going to talk about this volunteer position. And we are going to go into detail later on. But the safety marshal is someone that you must have. It has to be listed on your meet announcement. It is a person that is a registered non-athlete member of USA Swimming. They have to pass a background check. They have to take athlete protection training, and they need to make sure they know what the responsibilities are for a safety marshal. They have to be 21 years old at least, and they need to be the right person for the position. A safety marshal is someone that has a lot of interaction with swimmers and parents, and sometimes coaches, but they have to be someone who's very firm and very fair, but also very polite, not mean, and we'll talk about that later. Your safety marshal, again, just like the AO, cannot serve different positions at the same time. So you might have a coach that could be a safety marshal, but they cannot coach at the same time that they are doing their safety marshal job. They cannot do two of those jobs, only safety marshal. Down button here?
No.
This one?
No, not that one. This one.
Oh, sorry. I wasn't trained. Sorry.
No.
Okay. All right. So the questions to ask yourself. Why am I doing this job? Am I the right person? What are my expectations from volunteering? What are the expectations of swimmers, parents, coaches, officials, the facility owner, Gulf Swimming, and USA Swimming? We're going to talk about these in detail. All right. Why are you doing this? We hope you are doing this because you like children, because you're going to be around children a lot. You know volunteering is important, definitely is, and you believe in the sport of swimming and its long-term benefits. Hopefully you're doing it to help your team run a successful meet as well. It's very important. Am I the right person for this job? Will I make time or do I have time? It is time consuming. I'm a meet director as well, so I run meets at my facility. Am I in way over my head? Am I organized? Am I a planner or a procrastinator? You probably should not be a procrastinator. Doesn't work very well for being a meet director. Am I good at management? You will have to do a lot of managing. Am I able to communicate by phone, email, and in person? Am I a mentor or can I teach? Do I have the patience to do this? Because you might have to teach or work with your new volunteers that have never done their jobs before. Am I able to recruit or solicit help so that you do not have to do all of those jobs by yourself? And are you friendly to everyone no matter what? Because let me tell you, you are the one that angry parents are probably going to go to when there's a problem at your meet. So you have to smile, understand what they're asking of you, and try to help them as best you can. It's not always easy. All right, what are your weaknesses? Are you computer savvy? Because you will have to be doing some computer work. Or do you know the USA Swimming rules along with Gulf Swimming rules? Facility management, the safety part of the facility. What are the access points? Where are people coming in and out of your facility that you have to monitor? The members and non-members. So you have members of USA Swimming and non-members. Those non-members are really not allowed on your pool deck. Okay, you have to be able to have someone monitor that. And the water quality and the air quality. You will be a go-to person or possibly a go-to person if something is going on with the water or the air. Okay, are you able to answer those questions or find the answers for people? All right, what are your expectations? What are the expectations? So what are your expectations? So what type of swimmers will you have at your meets? You might have younger swimmers, like the 8 and under meets, or 10 and unders that are new to the sport. That's a whole different meet if you've never hosted one of those. Way different. You might have an older meet, a senior level meet, very experienced. Again, a very different meet. Okay. Then maybe an open meet, all ages, a mix of new swimmers, experienced swimmers, young and old. We have those as well. So lots of different experiences there. Can you communicate this concept with your volunteers and with the managers of your facility? You will need to tell them what kind of people are going to be coming into your facility and what to expect. For example, an 8 and under meet, every parent wants to be on the deck. Every parent wants to walk their child to their team, to the block. They need to get them their goggles, their towel. and it's crazy. So you have to have a special kind of person or people helping with those kind of parents. Okay, as opposed to a senior meet where those parents have been around and they know that they can't get on deck, for example. All right, what are the expectations of the swimmers? The swimmers want a fun and competitive atmosphere. They want quality awards. They want a clean facility, water, air, and bathrooms. They want a relaxing place to rest and socialize, because that does happen. They want good food from the snack bar, etc. They want the prompt posting of results, splits and time standards, and they want their awards to be ready to be picked up by the end of the meet. And those are all the things that a meet director helps control. Parents want a safe environment for their swimmers. They want something that's well organized. They want good communication, both on the website, meet sign up, or signage around the pool, your meet programs, and your announcements. They want easy access to their swimmers, and as we all know, that is not always possible. They also want a clean facility. They want good viewing as a spectator. If they're timing in lanes, they expect to be served drinks, especially if it's hot. They want good food for their swimmers, and they want prompt posting of results. Coaches and officials, they want something also well organized. They want good communication as well, clean facility, safe environment, good and healthy hospitality. Those of you that have run meets before, you know that meets are deemed, we kind of rank them by hospitality. Really. I appreciate any free food that I get, but prompt posting of results and also good air quality. Okay? And then we go on to what Gulf Swimming and USA Swimming expect. Follow the rules, safety marshals, members and non-members, educate your volunteers, follow the sanctioned format of your announcement. That is very important. Whenever your announcement is basically your template for the meet. So whatever it says in your announcement, you have to go by. All right? You'll be called out on it if you're not following that announcement. Personnel that are on your announcement should be present at the meet. Okay? You can't put a person on your announcement in any of those volunteer positions and they're not there. They have to physically be there. Okay? Submit the appropriate forms according to timelines. So your applications and your meet announcements have to be turned in a certain amount of time. If you want to rent equipment, then you have to turn that in a certain amount of time. And then posting all your pre-meet and post-meet reports and results. Those are all going to be on our timeline that we're going to talk about. All right, any questions about any of that so far? Pretty simple. All right, certification process. So why do we have this annual certification? Steps for new meet directors, recertification of current meet directors, and meet sanctions. We're going to go through this whole process. All right, so we have annual certification because Gulf Swimming rules require that all meet directors understand the USA Swimming and Gulf Swimming rules concerning swim meet management and operation, and that they are certified annually based upon requirements set out by the Gulf Swimming Technical Planning Committee to ensure this knowledge and skill. Okay? It seems like every year something new comes up that we need to tell you guys, and there's especially this year. There's a lot of new stuff that we're going to talk about. All right, so it provides training of current methods, procedures, and rules, so that we all kind of need a refresher every now and then. Identify and discuss previous year's problems, and discuss new rules and procedures, and also to share ideas. Hopefully we'll have a little bit of time for all of you that are returning meet directors, can share some ideas that you have about running a smooth meet. All right, certification for new meet directors. You have to attend the clinic, approximately 3 hours, fingers crossed. Pass an open book test. You have to have an 80% passing grade. It has both USA and Gulf Swimming rules, and that test is prepared by the TPC chair, Bo. You also have to register as a non-athlete member. You have to pass a background check, and you have to take the athlete protection training. Okay.
Can I have a question about that?
No.
I saw that that training is online.
Athlete protection training, yes.
Do we get a link for that?
Is there a link somewhere for that, Darcy?
So it's through the USA Swimming website. You log into your USA Swimming account
after you've passed your background check and registered.
So submit your registration, do the background check, then do athlete.
Okay. I think, yeah, okay.
So you have to be registered first.
Some things are out of order, and it's fine. I got it. I understand. Not you guys doing it out of order. Our team did.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah, so you have to be registered first, and then you have to do your background check, and then you go to usaswimming.org and you create an account, and then you'll be able to look up where to take the test.
Right, I've done my background check.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
They can do their background before.
Right, that's what I
But
did.
The issue that we have is when they do it before, it doesn't link to their account.
Okay. So set the account first. I'm sorry. You're right. You're right.
You want to set up the account first so that your background gets linked to you. Otherwise, it's just floating out there, and we have to go retrieve it. Eddie has to tell USA Swimming, go find this person, or the office says, hey, they took their background check.
Okay, I'll be prepared for that.
Yeah, and by
Okay.
setting up an account, you can always check your stats.
Yes.
Oh,
If
yeah.
your background check has come through and your APT has come through.
Oh
It'll be
yeah,
able
no,
to
they
reach
send
you.
you something to tell you whether you passed or not. That's not the problem. It's just that we didn't do everything in that particular order.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's not. It's nothing.
Send us an email. We'll get them linked.
All right, so if you're recertifying, you need to also attend the annual clinic. Or if you can't attend, you will watch the wonderful video that's being taped right now and pass the test. If you don't attend, you do have to take the test, pass with the 80%. All right? And you also have to re-register each year as a non-athlete member and maintain your credentials, the APT and the background checks. So it's really important to set up that account in USA Swimming so that you can always be checking when your expiration happens. Meet directors can do Deck Pass, right? Yeah, so you can do the app on your phone, the Deck Pass Plus, and the first thing when the buttons you can press on there is your membership card, and it tells you when everything expires. So it's really important to check that.
How often do they expire?
It depends on what APT is 2 years, background check is 2 years.
2 years.
Yes, that's all.
So it's not annual.
Registration is annual.
Registration is annually, so it expires at the end of December.
Okay.
Every year. All right, meet sanctions and meet directors. All right, so every meet sanction requires a certified meet director. You have to be listed on the sanction application, you have to be listed on the meet announcement, and you have to be present at all sessions of the meet. Okay? Meet directors on the sanction or at the meet must be registered as a non-athlete, must be current on their background screening, current on your APT, and current on your annual meet director training. And then the swim office maintains records of the certified meet directors. Yes, ma'am.
What happens if someone is sick at the last second?
Okay, I'm going to get to that in a minute. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, okay?
Every time you mention it, so.
Yes. I'm going to talk about those kind of things, those kind of situations in a minute, okay? All right. Questions about this? So when I get a sanction application and a meet announcement, I have to go and look up all that information to make sure that every meet director is certified in all of those areas. Okay?
Okay.
Yes.
But you can put 2 on there. So
Yeah,
that,
we'll talk about it in a minute.
oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Get ahead of me. We'll talk about it in a minute. Okay. All right, so this is kind of part of the timeline that we're going to talk about. I cannot read that. All right, so annually, you need to inform parents of your meet dates and communicate to parents that everyone is expected to help. I'm also a head coach and owner of a team. So we have our annual parent meeting right around September every year, and I write my meet dates up on the dry erase board so everybody puts them in their phone. And I list all of the places that we need help, all of the volunteer positions. So they know from day one that they come onto our team what's expected of them. All right? So 3 months out, you need to designate a meet director for your meet, secure the pool contract, and start your facility planning, where things are going to be inside your facility. Okay, that's at least 3 months out. And 10 weeks out, 10 weeks out, obtain commitment from your meet referee, and that probably could be done well in advance of 10 weeks, and your AO, and also start soliciting ads and donations for your meet. Okay?
Excuse me, Paige.
Yes.
I think you already mentioned this. Where can I find this title?
This is on the website.
Yes.
Yes, this timeline is on
Yeah.
the website under.
I think it's under meets.
Okay.
Thank you. I was like,
So-
you can also send me an email and I'll email it to you if that's.
You can send any of us emails, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. If you think of them. And so, when we have our meet, when we've been on our meets in March of every year, I pretty much already email my meet referees and say, hey, these are my dates. Can you work these meets? So I'm already doing it probably a year in advance. So it's better, to me, it's better to do it earlier than later. All right. So these are your resources for any kind of help that you need, versus any notes that you're taking in here, and everything that's in your packet that you have. On the USA Swimming website, it has the USA Swimming Handbook, time standards, report of occurrence. We'll talk about all that later. The Gulf Swimming website has the meet schedule, the meet formats, awards. The Gulf Handbook has, you have the Gulf Handbook with information in it. The sanction application is online. A sample announcement is online. All the forms that you need to fill out after meet is over are online. All the safety information for your meets are online. And the golf equipment, if you need to use golf equipment, all that information is online as well. Okay?
Got a question.
So, yes.
So what you had mentioned is that teams can, for a they can post their meet program online and then charge an extra $2 for a surcharge. So the question is, are we expecting hosts to post their meet programs on the golf website?
I don't think they're on the golf website. Meet Mobile.
Yeah.
But I think the problem, at least the meet that I was at last weekend, is not everybody has Meet Mobile.
Right. So they wouldn't charge, not everybody meaning who? Meaning you as a parent.
Parents don't buy Meet Mobile.
I understand that too.
Yeah.
But wouldn't it make sense to put it on the golf website, like when you're at some during the week when you would normally print your program? Wouldn't that be the appropriate time to send a PDF of the meet program to the golf website? Put it right there where the timeline is and the announcement, and that way everybody, it's in one place. Everybody knows where to go get it.
Is there room for that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's absolutely room for it. It would be something that I would say some hosts charge for that meet announcement. So if you're charging that $2 in advance to everyone, then yes, we can put it up there on the website. But not every host is going to post it on the website.
Has a website that they can,
Yeah.
that they can post it.
Mm-hmm.
But that,
Well, I
Clay.
just my personal opinion, being on both sides of this, just saying as Henry and everybody else, what the best thing is going to be is to post it with the timeline and everything like that. But every team knows that they pull it off that golf swimming website because parents aren't going to it, and they post it on their own website or distribute it via email or whatever they do to get it to their team. My question is this: we've done this over at Katy Aquatics, but we always print a few on hand for those that don't have printers, those that just can't afford to print out a 37-page sheet.
and you give them out?
And do we give them out? No.
Oh,
We're going to charge for them. If we're incurring an expense, we're going to recoup that expense. But I mean, that's just my side of that. What I've experienced at Katy Aquatics, we've been able to post them online to our website, but you have to take into consideration. And at our smaller meets, yeah, we give them out for free. We print out like 50 copies because we've already charged it up front.
$2.
Yeah. And so we print out a very limited copy and just tell our parents, print it out. If you can't, we will have a very limited number at the meet for you to have.
Yeah, just I would say, whether it's on the golf site or whether it's on a page on your own website, make sure that that's advertised. You don't want to post a free sheet and not advertise it and then charge as well. I mean, it sounds like a good plan, but
So
that's the whole reason why we're allowing you to add a $2 surcharge.
okay, so is this something that needs to be? Is this something that needs to be voted on?
No. It's
It's just a matter of practice.
Yeah.
Being consistent.
Okay, so what we're saying is that if you are going to charge the extra, is it $2 or $2.50?
$2.
$2 for the online heat sheet, that you can send that heat sheet in with your timeline and timing assignments and warm-up assignments to the website and have that posted on the website.
And that's-
Does everybody understand that?
Yep, and that's webmaster@golfswimming.org.
Or you can put a meeting announcement, you're going to have some available for those who don't
Yes.
have mobile.
Yes.
Say definitely.
You can put that in with your warm-up assignments. And
We started this decades ago about talking about
Parents just like to have something.
about safety, about putting our kids on these websites.
Oh, yeah, we do.
I'm still against this, and I think if y'all will follow me on this, we don't want our kids blasted everywhere where these things can happen. So I say we don't put them on.
Clay.
I agree with Eddie, that is becoming more and more of an issue in society, of people having the ability to find people's names, know exactly where they're going to be and when they're going to be there, heat and lane assignments, since they're preceded. But it is also very easy to make this all team administrators in the Gulf, and you can password protect a PDF file. And then You know, at that point, it's up to every team to do the responsible thing and distribute it in private emails. And if they post it to their website, they need to put it in the password protected form. It's very easy to do it. If anybody needs any help with that, send me an email. You can password protect, and you click on the link, you have to enter their password.
You can also, as a meet host, you can distribute it to your teams and have the coaches send it out to the families individually.
Right. If you run Team Unify, you can make it so you have to be logged in, so you can click on that link. So only logged in and people with authority to view those accounts can. There's a workaround right there.
Anything else? All right. So again, a list of your volunteers, your meet referee, your officials, the required minimum, referee, AO, starter, stroke return judge, and meet director. This slide comes up several times and it looks the same. What am I supposed to do?
It's the check marks.
Okay.
It's what you've covered.
Oh, that's what I covered. I'm sorry. So, sorry. I didn't ask that question when I saw this slide. Okay. So I don't need to go over anything else. Now I'm
Moving on to safety marshals.
Okay. All right. Here comes safety marshals. Well, no. Sorry. All right. So these are some other volunteers that you have minimally at your meet. Okay. A console timing system operator. They control the console and the timing system. Colorado or Daktronics board thing. A computer operator. They run the Meet Manager software, including seating and printing results. Timing judges. I actually took this out of the slide at first because I don't know if we use timing judges necessarily. I think we have several computer operators that look over the results and put them in the system, things like that. So we don't call them timing judges. Anybody else?
Well, timing judge works for the admin official.
Yeah.
Yeah, the AO
The AO.
runs that essentially.
Yeah,
So,
they
yeah,
run.
we
The
cover
AO
AO,
runs
so,
these
yeah.
three. So keep
Yeah.
going.
All right, so you also have runners. So you have runners that take stuff from the computer to the awards, and they also post results. You have runners that pick up lane timer sheets and get them to your computer operator. You have runners that take stuff from the computer to your referee, maybe to the ready area, and they also post lane assignments. Okay, so I actually only use 2 runners for all that. You have a head timer, maintains control over lane timers, and they start 2 backup watches on each race. It's nice to have an announcer to make general purpose announcements, maybe what events in the water, go to the snack shop, whatever. A hospitality chairperson, someone who supervises and organizes the hospitality room. Concessions chairperson, supervises the concession area. You might have an ad chairperson that's maybe getting ads to put in your meet program. And they might also donate things through hospitality or concessions. A programs or awards chairperson. They sell site sheets and order awards and distribute awards. An equipment pickup and return person. Obtains and returns the timing equipment. An equipment setup person. Several people actually set your timing equipment, tables, chairs, PA system, etc., those kind of things. And cleanup. Maintains a clean and orderly venue. We have all these things. We also have an event writer because as our meets are getting bigger, you don't have enough room for everybody to sit in your facility. So a lot of people have set up outside the facility. So we have what we call an event writer that writes on a dry erase board. If you don't have a PA system outside, so let people know what event is in the water. Those are just a few volunteers. Organizing your volunteers. You, the meet director, cannot do all of these jobs. You need to appoint key positions on an annual basis. Match people with the jobs you think they can do. Okay? It's very easy to recruit somebody and say, hey, I think you'd be great at blah, blah, because you do this so well. Is volunteering part of your club requirements? It is for mine. They have to do volunteering. Train new volunteers at inter-squad meets. That's a perfect place. We do an inter-squad meet every year, and we have our new parents come down and time. It's very easy because some people are actually scared to be timers, believe it or not. So have 2 or more meet directors at the meets. This is really important. I know there are several teams, First Colony, A&M, trying to think who else. Katy, Woodlands. They list 2 and 3 and 4 meet directors on their meet announcements. Okay, that is so that they can spread the wealth of doing the jobs, and so that if any one person can't be there for any certain time, that it's okay. You have your bases covered. Any one of those people that is listed on your meet announcement needs to be there. Okay? Make a list of positions needed at the meet. Okay, we gave you a big, huge list. Yeah, so I know you can't see this very well, but this is a nice chart of a meet and the sessions and how many people they actually need for each session.
Is this on the website?
No. I think it could probably be sent to you if you emailed somebody. Yeah.
It's on the slideshow that's on the website.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I actually I've used Sign Up
Sign Up
Genius
Genius.
before. Very effective. And actually I was very excited, learned last January how to use it in Team Unify. So Team Unify is almost exactly like Sign Up Genius. It's a little bit of data entry. But you can put in all of your positions, you can put your shift times in there, you can put an explanation of what needs to happen at that job, and you can attach it to the sign up where they sign up for meets. It's called volunteers, I don't know what the button's called, but it's called something volunteer, and they can sign up right there when they enter their child. Okay, very easy to do, all right? All right, here we go. Safety, meet marshals. These people shall be wearing some kind of identifying attire. So you can get those bright, beautiful vests that they love to wear because they're gorgeous. Or I've seen some teams actually get t-shirts in fluorescent colors and maybe say safety marshal on the back, something that's identifying. Because I know if I'm at a meet and I'm looking for a safety marshal, I'm looking for somebody in fluorescent colors. Okay? They enforce warm-up procedures and maintain order in the swimming venue. The marshal shall have full authority to warn or order to cease and desist and, with the concurrence of the referee, to remove or have removed from the swimming venue anyone behaving in an unsafe manner or using profane or abusive language or whose actions are disrupting the orderly conduct of the meet. That is a perfect definition of what a safety marshal is. Okay? And you have to find the right person for the job.
Happens at tags every year. Someone gets asked to leave.
Yes. It's happened. It's happened at my little open meets. I mean,
It happens at Gulf Open
Yes.
meets.
So
It does.
you have to. I'll give you an example. I had my normal safety marshal, who's awesome. She's been compared to a TSA agent. But she's fabulous. She had to be at another meet with her child, and I had to ask somebody else, and it was not the best person for the job. She was not the right fit. She was very stern, but not that, you got to be that politically correct, firm person. You know what I'm saying? So, you have to find the right person to deal with the people that they're going to have to deal with listed here. Okay? And kids, too. They have to deal with kids.
Yeah.
So. They must be at least 21 years old. They have to be a registered non-athlete member. They have to pass the background screening, and they have to complete the athlete protection training. A registered meet marshal is required to obtain a meet sanction. It's one of the personnel that you have to have listed and be legal on your meet application and announcement. Meet marshals may not perform any other job at the meet. They cannot be an official, they cannot be a coach, they cannot be a clerk, of course, nothing. They cannot be a parent watching their kids swim, taking pictures, yelling for them. They have to only be doing their job when they're wearing their vest. Okay?
Quick question.
Yes.
Background check.
Yes.
I've had a couple of people ask me, what are they checking for the background check?
That's a good question.
Everything?
Who asked the question? It's a very thorough background check. And I think we can all understand why.
Yeah, I know why.
Yeah, they're looking at just about everything. I mean, I think the shortest report you'll get back is about 2 pages.
Okay. I just had a few people ask me, what are they checking? My answer has always been everything.
Yeah.
It is.
Pretty much,
It's a very thorough.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like and I am not just. My children have gone to Catholic school.
Right.
It's the equivalent of getting background checked through Veritas to volunteer at the Catholic through the Archdiocese. So.
Safety marshals should arrive at least 15 minutes prior to warm-ups. They should check in with the meet director. Discuss any special safety concerns. The head marshal should have a whistle. They should be easily identifiable by a safety vest, and I said a bright colored t-shirt because some people don't like wearing the vests. They should marshal the warm down areas throughout the meet. They should not leave the area until coverage is provided, so unless somebody takes their place. And they should submit reports of occurrence on the USA Swimming website. So does everybody know what a report of occurrence is? Does everybody know how to get to it? Okay, it's very easy. Thank goodness they came up with the online version. It's so much easier. You fill the stuff out, hit submit, it sends it to me, and it sends it to USA Swimming. Okay? And you're supposed to fill that out for every little thing that happens. If you do any type of first aid, Band-Aid, doesn't matter. You should fill one out. Okay, so make sure that your safety marshals know that. Make sure your lifeguards know that. Anybody that's doing first aid. Okay?
So as far as the whistle's concerned, you want to, if you have lifeguards at the school,
Yes.
you want to check with your facility manager to make sure that the whistle that the marshals have is a different frequency or tone than what the lifeguards are using.
Yes. And maybe even not when the referees use it. Yes.
So if you need, say over the course of a meet, you need a total of 6 safety marshals because of points of entry and warm-up pool, every single one of those people working that position have to be registered and background checked? Or is it a head person needs to and the team does, like the rest of the people don't?
We talked about that. Really and truly, they should.
If anybody who is going to be going into an area that you would be considered a compromised area or an area that's a vulnerable area, I'll use A&M as an example. A&M is a mixed, what USA Swimming calls a mixed-use facility. In other words, as much as we want to try and control who's entering and using the locker room space and the bathroom space, there's points of entry we have no control over. Okay, that's fairly common at university facilities. So they need to have anyone who's going to be going in to check those locker rooms should be registered and background checked because that's a point of vulnerability for the athletes. And they have to have a male and a female on duty and registered and background checked every time they have a meet throughout the entire meet because obviously a male can't check the female restroom or locker room. So it is. You have to know your facility that you're going to be using. You have to know your points of entry. Some of our teams use deck monitors and deck marshals. If you use a deck monitor and they're enforcing rules on your warm-up or warm-down pool, it's a gray area that, I'm going to tell you, the rule says they should be registered and background checked because they're on deck. They should be a member.
They're dealing with children.
They're dealing with, that's that separation of member and non-member. So the rule answer is they should all be registered and they should all be over 21.
But, part of the problem, and all that's fine and good, and I agree, but you get parents that don't want to volunteer because of the hoops they have to jump through for a lot of this stuff. They'll just say, I'm not going to take a background check and do all this stuff to help you out in your swimming. I'll do something else.
Takes a lot of volunteers. Yeah. I have to give you the answer that is the rules answer.
But the reality is you're kind of isolating volunteers.
There's a ton of opportunities to volunteer. There's a lot of positions that have to be done. Yeah.
They need to go to the background check. They're going to be in contact with kids also.
Yes.
To keep the parents, us, and the other reports that avoid it, there's no good reason to avoid it.
If that's the case, then we need all timers. Yeah, they have the most direct contact.
Well, timers under USA Swimming rules are exempt, and they're supposed to wear a team T-shirt, and they're supposed to be identified as a volunteer. USA Swimming has exempted the timers.
So who pays for all of that?
They're just monitoring, like it's in our facility, it's not on deck, but they're coming in and they're crowd control. We have them wear the vest, but they're not the safety marshal.
I think that would be.
You know your facility.
Yeah.
You have to know your facility. You have to know your facility.
I'm not gonna tell you that. But, yes.
Is there a place on Nursery Swimming or the golf website that itemizes, per se, exactly the duties of a safety marshal? Like very specifically, because I've had people ask, and I've had a difficult time finding a very detailed bullet by bullet by bullet by bullet by bullet
We
point.
searched too. We found some from other LSCs.
But we don't have anything in our bylaws.
Yeah.
We do have in our handbook. Our handbook lays out, it's 2.5 pages on the responsibilities of a safety marshal. So it's in the handbook. It's in the handbook, what they're supposed to do. Even in an unrevised state, it is up there, it's on the website, it hasn't changed.
Is the revised handbook on the website?
We just revised mine.
Not, the safety marshal portion is not revised. What is on the website right now for the safety marshals is accurate and correct. That's their responsibility. Now, there are some great trainings out there, but if you want to really train your safety marshals, have them go to the Arizona Swimming website. They require their safety marshals to do a background check, be APT certified, and go through a course just like this to be a safety marshal.
But the golf doesn't have that yet.
The golf does not have that, but it's an excellent resource, and
We're trying to do it here through you guys.
versus doing
versus
another
having
step.
another training. Yes, sir.
Where or who would tell us exactly how many safety marshals we need?
You have to know your facility. You have to know your points
So
of
I'm
entry.
deciding vulnerability and access. So I decide as meet director, I
You
need
and your-
3, I need 5.
Probably your facility manager and your coaches as well would help you with that.
You can ask someone who's previously run a meet that facility.
Yeah.
Or if you need someone to ask one of us here.
Yeah.
But even then, so there's no guidelines. We're deciding
Well,
just based on judgment from.
and it's really difficult because let's take just the difference in Don Cook versus the Fort Bend ISD practice facility. Don Cook, you have 2 points of entry to the deck. You need those 2 safety marshals, and then you need to look at the other spots where you have the hospitality, where coaches come in. Don Cook's a different situation than the practice facility. You've got to work with your facility
I
host.
just asking where the authority is on that. So if it's reach out and we get it, then we'll get. That's what.
I would ask for help if you're not sure.
Yeah.
With who's at your facility the most. Like I said, your facility manager or the coaching staff. Okay. So during the meet, they should make sure the swimmers behave in a safe manner. No running, abusive behavior, language, things like that. Notify the coach of any swimmer who's behaving or acting in an unsafe manner. They should always use appropriate language. And their role is to help maintain a safe environment. Please make sure they pay attention to what's going on. They cannot be sitting in a chair on their phone. They cannot be talking on their phone. They cannot be cheering for their children. They have a job to do. It needs to be safety. Okay? All right, so we've gone over those. Am I next?
Yep.
Oh, sorry, I checked it. Okay, I didn't notice I checked it. Awesome. This is not me. This is me. All right, for now, I'll be back.
Okay, which button do I push?
I showed you guys. Not that one. Not in the middle. Nope. That one at the bottom.
Oh, gotcha. Hey, everybody. I'm Bo Caldwell. I'm the technical planning chair in golf swimming. You've maybe gotten a few emails from me. I'm going to talk about a lot of the rules that you might have at your meets, or you will see at a lot of the golf sponsored meets. This is so the meet director and the meet referee can be more on the same page. The AO and the meet rep usually know a lot of these already, and especially for the new meet directors, this is something you will learn a lot more when you run a few meets. So most of the meets that we have in our LSC are golf sponsored, meaning tech planning, the board of directors, and the house make up all of the meet formats. the host club cannot make a format change. Events 200 yards and shorter are pre-seated. Events 400 yards and longer are deck seated and require circling. Your AO will be able to take care of that. Entry fees and swimmer surcharges are set by the committee, the board, and the house. You cannot change those. The one difference between pre-seated and deck seated is that all long course meets are deck seated. Maybe you've been to a long course meet and had to circle in. Okay, 4-hour rule. This was created by USA Swimming mainly to help retention in the sport and with the newer families, so they're not showing up to a meet that's 5 or 6 hours long plus a warm-up session. It's meant for swimming to be competitive with other youth sports and recreational activities. So when you are planning your own invitational, meets must be planned so that the 12 and unders can be the 12 and under sessions can be concluded within 4 hours. So if they exceed 4 hours or they are not planned to last under 4 hours, you can be fined. You measure this by the start of the meet and the last heat of 12 and unders that dives in the water. Events that are scored multi-age are impacted by this. So if you have a 14 and under event that has 13, 14, 11, 12, and 10 under scoring, that applies. If you have a senior event that has multiple age group scoring, that applies too. It does not apply to open events, even if there's swimmers 12 and under that are in there. Some suggested tools that you can use. You need to be aware of the number of athletes that are in the meet and how many events they're allowed to swim. Meet management or meet manager can give you a timeline. There's also some Southeastern Swimming actually has a huge chart of if you run this many lanes, you have this many athletes, and they can swim this many events, and that's going to get you 4 hours. Setting up your heat intervals for the appropriate session, making sure that your equipment works, making sure that you have the proper volunteers in place. That's going to prevent a lot of breaks and help you stay on the timeline. Fines. For every violation of the 4-hour rule, the host club must pay double the splash fee. So it's an additional $1.75 every time a 12 and under dives in the water past 4 hours. Meet director or meet referee must note the start time. If they don't do it, we are going to hear about it from parents who email us after the meet.
The actual or the scheduled time? The scheduled start time or the actual start time? I guess.
Prior slide you had scheduled. It did say scheduled.
Yeah.
So point of order here is that before the meet ever starts, there's a timeline that's run.
It's posted.
In the Gulf handbook, it shows, I think, short course meets, it's 20-second heat interval. Long course meets, it's 0, 0, 0 interval with 0 backstroke adder. You run the timeline before you ever start the meet. If your meet ends within 4 hours, you're not subject to the 4-hour rule, even if your meet goes past 4 hours. So if you start the meet late, or you have an equipment malfunction, or you have a weather delay, and your meet does go past 4 hours, you're not subject to the 4-hour rule fine. However, if you run that heat interval before the meet starts and you're past 4 hours, then you are subject to the 4-hour rule fines for those events that showed that they were scheduled to go past 4 hours. So going into your meet, if it's a club-sponsored meet, you know whether or not you're subject to the 4-hour fine, 4-hour rule fine. We set that up exactly for that reason. Things happen.
This does not apply to any golf-sponsored meets. The golf-sponsored meets are planned by the committee, the board, and the house, and it doesn't apply because we have to accept all the entries. If there's a situation where there's too many entries, we can adjust the meet format later to manage the volume of people and manage the durations as best we can. So if you're hosting a golf-sponsored meet, you don't have to worry about the 4-hour rule. because it's already planned out for you. All right. So meets with one venue, whether they're a golf sponsor meet, an open meet, a championship. If it's a single site venue, the host team creates the meet manager file, and entries are sent directly to the meet host. One error on here: they're actually due 2 weeks prior to the meet. All of our meet entry deadlines are Friday at 11:59 p.m. Meets with more than one venue. So these are open meets or meets such as fall champs, summer champs, if there's a season attached to it. These are meets where there's multiple sites. The golf creates the meet manager files. Entries are due 3 weeks prior. All entries are sent to the TPC chair, and then numbers are divided up equally amongst athletes, entries, and officials. All right. These are some golf rules that you may use for your own invitationals. The 3-event rule: if an athlete makes 3 qualifying times, it makes from any event at that meet when this standard is applied. And it's up to the meet director and the AO to do the recon and make sure that all of the swimmers in there are meeting that standard. And this rule allows athletes to enter an entire meet and swim as many events as they can, rather than enter 2 meets in the same month and swim a half meet here and a half a meet here. The up-down rule: if an athlete qualifies in one event, they can swim the next shortest, the next longest event. This usually occurs with a time standard meet, and it allows athletes to swim at a higher level meet and get a couple of more events in. A new rule last year is the Beyond IMX rule. This applies at a lot of our open meets, and it's up to the AO and the meet director to make sure that these are enforced. The athlete must have a B time to swim anything longer than their IMX event, and the events for each age group are listed here. So IMX is a program within USA Swimming Club Development, and anything longer than that, which is still offered at an open meet, the athlete has to have a B time in the next shortest event to swim something longer. All right. When you're setting up your meet, this is going to vary by facility. So we have a facility surcharge schedule based on what your facility looks like. Some for short course, some for long course. And then new this year, which we talked about earlier, you're welcome to add a $2 surcharge to your facility fee if you offer free electronic key sheets. So it's something to talk about in your staff meetings or with your club. Is this something that we want to do? Is it going to save us money? Is it going to reduce our workload? Any questions on that?
If I have a 1-lane warm-down pool and I divide it in half, is it considered 2 lanes?
No. I mean, it's not really considered safe. So,
Yeah.
I mean, all right. Are you next?
Yes.
All right.
Wouldn't believe it.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, so talk a little about your sanctioning process. All right, so 8 weeks out is when you must turn in your sanction application, your meet announcement, and pay your sanction fees. 8 weeks. Okay. You also need to rent golf equipment if you need it at your facility. So I said all that? So these are for any meets that you want sanctioned. Golf-sponsored meets that you are hosting, invitational team-sponsored meets, and all meet forms. What is meet form? So if it's a...
Do you want me to go there?
That's just showing what the meet forms are.
Yeah, it's hyperlinked and let's see, should take us. So here under swim meets, if you go down, I don't want to make y'all, meet directors and meet information, okay? All these forms that Paige is talking about are here on the website. We have them in 2 forms, PDF and Word, so that if you don't have Adobe Writer and you can't, but it's all here and it's all online. Okay, sample meet announcements, safety guidelines, okay? So.
Usually for if you're doing an inter-squad meet, a tri-meet, a dual meet, something that we're not going to post on the website, you know, I can kind of forgive the 8-week deadline because sometimes those pop up at the last minute. But it's helpful if you can get them in 8 weeks. I sanction a lot of meets on top of all the other jobs that I do. So it's helpful. The further out you can get this stuff to me, the better and the quicker I can get it done for you. All right? Why am I frozen?
I'll go.
Okay. All right, so a sanction application packet includes the completed sanction application form. This has to be signed by your club president as well. The meet announcement, complete with all of your personnel. The sanction fee, we're going to talk about what the fees are in a moment. $50 a day for regular meets. A separate fee for the golf equipment trailers. They're $100 a day per trailer. And you make payments through Golf Pay by credit card, and that's all online as well. Okay. If you have to mail in a check, I know some people do have to do. Some teams have to do that as far in advance as you can do that as possible, because I really can't sanction anything until that has been received. Okay. Time trials require a separate application form, so you can't include. Sometimes the time trials information is embedded in your meet announcement, but you do have to send in a separate application, a sanction application, and a separate fee. And time trials are $50 total. So if you're offering time trials 3 days over a meet, it's still just $50. It's not $50 a day. Okay. All right, so here are your fees. Per day for a meet sanction application fee is $50. So if you're running a Friday evening, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, $150. An approved time trials or meet is $200. If you want to sanction a dual, tri, or inter-squad meet, one meet, $50. The late fee, if you do not turn your stuff into me on time by 8 weeks out, is a $100 late fee. That is an option to pay on Golf Pay. It's called late fee. And if you want an observed meet, that's also $50. Yes?
How many teams are considered like a dual, tri, whatever?
A dual means 2, tri is 3.
If I wanted to have 5 teams and it's limited to those 5 teams, somebody else, is that included? Or is that
I think the way I
normal?
kind of, well, because there are teams that do, Katie does a quad, or what do you call it?
Quints now.
Quints, yeah.
Quints meet.
I mean, my thing about this is that if it's not being posted on the website, and if you're just distributing to your own people yourself, then I kind of don't look at the 8
So
weeks.
it's close me,
Yeah, close meet, yeah,
and it's $50 per day.
per day. So
It
some,
says-
yeah, so
it says
most
one-
inter-squad meets are 1 day, but you
Okay.
guys are crazy and have like 3
Just 'cause
days.
it says one
so-
meet.
Love you. Clay's great. Clay sends me like 8 sanction applications at a time. I'm like, oh my god.
Safe.
All right. And then revises them 2 weeks later. Yes, Terry.
On the, I guess the sanction application, if you get it 8 weeks in advance, it doesn't have to be complete, you just need that. Like, for example, meet director or meet referee, if they can't, the team can't
No,
find
it needs to be
It
complete.
needs to be complete.
What if
These
you
are all
can't
your-
find a meet referee?
She started a year out. Get on the phone. You should be calling Andrea, you know, as a last resort. As a last resort.
Yeah, we tried. We've been in a situation where we couldn't find one. We've emailed every person on the list, and
Paige should know. I'd be at 10 or 11 weeks out. I'd be sending Paige an email that says we're working with Andrea to find a meet rep. I mean,
I
not
take
at 8
things
weeks.
case by case. I mean, you know, at that time I'm getting on the email with Andrea because,
We're trying to help you.
you know, yeah. All right. So the meet schedule is comprised of golf-sponsored meets and club-sponsored meets. And we already talked about what those are. So I'm not already going through this because Bo went through all this. Club-sponsored meets. All right. So what I'm going to say about this is the golf-sponsored meets. Those meet announcement templates are created by the technical planning committee. Okay. And there are times that those do not get out to you in a timely manner for one reason or another. Okay? And so, yes, we will forgive the 8 weeks deadline on that. However, you know you're hosting a meet. You should at least be able to send me your sanction application and your fee by the 8-week deadline. There is absolutely no reason why that cannot be done. Okay? The meet announcement, I can forgive that being late if it's our fault on the board. Okay? But you should at least have your application and your fee paid by your 8-week deadline. Okay? Now that I've said that in a meeting, I'm going to be hard and fast on that because I've been kind of wishy-washy because it hasn't really been put out there, but it's put out there now. Okay? What else was there? Yeah, so what'll happen if the templates for announcements go out late, we will give you a reasonable amount of time. I know we had some issues with Harvey with starting our season. And we gave some time, and finally I just had to say, okay, I gotta have these because people need their information. Okay, so I'll, at some point I'll have to put a limit on when you can turn it into me. But I try to be pretty flexible because, like I said, I run meets too, and I understand that things happen. But we need to get this information and get this information out and meet sanction.
You have to have your facility to have your sanction.
Excuse me?
You have to have your facility to have your sanction.
You should, because
here's
what's
like a silly question.
Here's what's going to happen
strange.
is you're going to put a facility on all your stuff, and it's going to be advertised, and then and it happens. It happens right now.
It happens.
You have to do revision, okay? So we have to revise everything and put new information out there. So. It's not a huge issue. People are going to go back and hopefully look and see that there's a revision.
Okay.
But it's just more time. It's more time consuming.
Okay.
So it's best to have, like I said, it's best to have those facilities tied down well in advance. Like,
and I just think, when it does come to revision, because I'm of course guilty of it myself, when the school district comes back and says, oh, we have a wrestling tournament, you can't use this facility now, and they say, we're just going to move you over here, and it's 2 weeks from here.
Yeah, it happens.
Please make sure any changes you do to your announcement, you put highlighted in yellow and red because, and I asked this last year, are we going to make a more concerted effort as a Gulf, as an LSC, that if there is a change, that it's not just put on the website with an R, it needs to be directly emailed to anybody that's affected. And if it's affected to the entire Gulf, then it needs to be sent out to the entire Gulf. Here is what changed. Now I know Bo has done a really good job if a meet file is incorrect of making sure
Usually
he sends it out to everybody going, hey, this is what was wrong with the file, so just in case you have to take the file out and start your entries all over again, if you want to change your file or whatever just to make it easier for you, here's what happened and here's what's wrong. But in the past we've had a huge issue with even teams going, we never knew there was a revision. Because it wasn't sent out to us.
So it is a good practice to email your teams that are coming to your meet any changes and any big news that you need to get out to them so they can get it out to their people. Yeah. And so you can send it out to Mike Nordman, who's the coaches rep, and they can send it out to all the coaches. There's lots of ways to get information out.
But it's really easy to see if something's changed in the meet if it's highlighted.
It's highlighted. Red letters and highlighted. Big bold red letters and highlighted. Yeah. Okay, we'll talk about revisions in a minute too. Okay. Okay, this is your
Okay, so I've just got a couple here. This is the calendar, and then also on the website there is the page with all of the meat boxes where all the documents are. So this is the calendar that gets approved by the House of Delegates. Your club meets will not be on the calendar, but they will be on the meet page on the website if you choose to post them there. All right, so that's the short course schedule through February. That's the long course schedule through July. And back page.
Okay, so like we said, if you're doing a golf-sponsored meet, the templates are provided for you. Anything that you need to fill in that's pertinent to your team is highlighted in yellow. So you can just scroll over that, type in whatever you need. It's a box that you can make as big as you want with as much information. Put your team logo on there. It's pretty self-explanatory what to do with those announcements. If you, for all other club-sponsored meets, you will be doing your own announcement. So this is what you need to pay attention to. There is a sample announcement on the golf website. It has some additional language from last year's meet. You can also look at a meet that's already on the website, like the templates that we've done. Those are a great way to do your own announcement for your club team. It's much easier for me to read them too. They look like the templates that I've been reading all year. Hint, hint. Remove language that does not pertain to your team. Add appropriate names, dates, and locations. Make sure that you check the dates. If you're using a meet announcement from previous years, please go through that with a fine-tooth comb and check all your dates. It's actually one of the things I really don't look at that kind of stuff. I'm looking at the main things that I need to look for: personnel, safety information, stuff like that. So make sure that you check all your dates, like when things are due, the dates of the meet, things like that, that they're all changed over to the appropriate year, things like that. Be sure to include an order of event page, qualifying or cutoff times, maps and local information, parking, hotels, safety guidelines and warm-up procedures, which is found on the golf website. Entry forms, if people are needing to do hand entries, and an entry verification form. All those things need to be in your meet announcement. Again, there's a sample one on the website, or you could look at any announcement that's already posted, especially a golf-sponsored one. All right. Announcements must be received 8 weeks prior to the meet date. Sanction application forms and fees must also be received within 24 hours of the due date. $100 fine for late submission of announcements, sanction applications, forms, and fees. So just count backwards on the calendar 8 weeks from the first day of your meet, and that's when your sanction stuff is due. Sanction numbers will be issued only after completed sanction application forms and fees have been received, and if everything checks out on your meet announcement. Okay, because I have to go through and check in swims all the dates on everybody you list on your sanction announcement. Okay, to make sure all of their dates are compliant with the dates that your meet is running. Okay, so if your meet is on November 4th and your application is due, September something, and somebody's APT expires on October 31st, then you're not going to be good to go. They have to be compliant for that November 4th date.
Wait, on the last day?
On the last day of the meet. Sorry, the last day of the meet.
Compliant through
the entire meet, yes.
Not just the first day.
If any changes, additions, or corrections are to be made to the announcement after it has been sanctioned and posted, the TPC chair and the sanction coordinator must approve it. Okay, so I think I have this coming with notes. Well, let's go back. Okay, so if you have any changes to your announcement after I've already sent it back to you, said, yay, you're approved, good luck at your meeting, have a great time, and send it to the webmaster, something happens, you got to change something on it. Okay, that happens all the time, believe me, I do revisions all the time. Okay, you can't email me and say, hey, can you please change this? I'm not changing your announcement. And that's not my job. I just don't do it, because if I make the mistake, that's my mistake, and I don't need that on my shoulders, okay? So you need to send me a revised announcement. Change whatever you need to change. Sometimes it's nice if you highlight it so I can see it, what the changes, or if you don't want to highlight it, tell me in your email, hey, we changed the safety marshal to blah, 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 okay? Let me know what your change is. Send me the new announcement in Word. We're going to talk about that in a minute too. It cannot be in PDF, okay? Send it to me in Word. And then I will look it over, make sure everything's right, and then I will issue a revised sanction number, and then I will send it on to the webmaster, and I will send it back to you. Okay? So, registration, certifications, credentials of all people listed on the announcement must be checked. So those are the 4 people. We did not put safety marshal in there. Safety marshal should be on there too. Okay. The sanction announcement and HYV files must be posted on the Gulf website no later than 6 weeks prior to the meet. So you're giving it to me 8 weeks out. You basically have 2 weeks to fix any problems. Okay? I'm usually pretty quick about sending stuff back to you. I may not do it the day you send it to me, but I usually try to get it done within a couple of days. And so that gives you pretty much a week and a half to 2 weeks to get things taken care of. Okay? Background checks at certain times of the year take some up 2 to 3 to 4 days to get through into swims. Okay? Athlete protection training should be pretty quick.
If
I believe so.
you-
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
you can do it pretty quickly. That's on the volunteer.
And if we don't get that on the website 6 weeks prior to the meet, now if you're doing a golf sponsored meet, we've already sent the HYV files to the webmaster. It's $100 per day fine, $1,500 max. Okay, and that's assessed to your team.
Do you want to talk about names? Like how?
It's up later.
Oh, okay.
It's on. All right, so this is where you find the application. Darcy already showed it to you on Gulfstream website under Meets homepage, Meet Director Forms, application for sanction, and it is a fillable form, except that I think you can type in the signature now. Doesn't have to be an actual signature.
If you can electronically sign documents and you've set it up that way, you can email it to your club president. They can electronically sign it and send it in.
And I get them all kinds of ways. I get them emailed to me. I get them scanned, and however you want to get it to me, I don't care. It doesn't matter.
What software, what version of Adobe you have?
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
All right, email in. This is important. It needs to be emailed in Word. Okay. That is the. I can do PDFs. It's just more difficult. It's more time consuming for me to edit the PDFs for whatever reason. But MS Word is the easiest way to send that to me. Okay. That is my email address. You also need to CC these people with the TPC chair. That's Bo's email address. You also need to CC your meet referee and your AO so that they are aware of everything that's going on in your announcement. Sometimes they can read things and find things that maybe you need to change or correct, something like that. All right, so this is how I would prefer you to title your, I will go through and change it to this. So it's much easier on me if you could do it like this. So it's the year that we are in. So if you're doing a meet right now, it's 2017, and fun would be your team name, whatever your acronym or your, what do you call it, abbreviation is for your team, and then the name of your meet, and then announcement. You can abbreviate announcement, I don't care. Okay? So if I was going to host a meet, it'd be 2017 Notch December Golf Senior Champs announcement. That's what mine would say. Okay? Use a sample announcement on the golf website if you need to, or the template that should be sent to you. Remove language that does not pertain to your team or your meet. Add appropriate names, dates, and locations. And be sure to have those things. That's kind of a repeat. Okay? But that's really important. If you could please title your documents that are being sent to me. It's easier for me to locate them in my database when I'm looking for them to revise or to send out if they're titled like that. In your announcements, you need to provide something about officials' attire. Include a paragraph about what officials should wear for the meet. And that should already be in the templates for golf-sponsored meets. And then if you're hosting a meet, I guess it's whatever your meet referee decides. If you need to, you need to also add or change language for the following. For distance events, so 400 IM, 4 500 free, 8 1000 free, 15 16 15 free. All those events, are they going to swim them alternating girls and boys? Is a positive check-in? At what time? Top 8 in finals? How are you doing your distance events? That wording needs to be in your announcement. Combined age group events, are they going to be swum combined and scored separately? That kind of wording needs to be in there. Relay cards, what time they are due each day? Do they need to declare prelims or finals? How many heats are being swum in finals? Okay, make sure you let people know that information. Again, that will be in the templates that are sent out for golf-sponsored meets. Follow the approved meet formats. If you're doing a golf-sponsored meet, so you as a meet director really can't change anything that's not highlighted in a meet announcement. Okay? Requests for exceptions for golf-sponsored meet formats must be sent 90 days prior to the meet, it must be approved by the TPC. Use the age groups listed in the golf sponsored meet format. Remember, there's a difference between 9 and 10s and 10 and unders. 9 and 10s, only 9-year-olds and 10-year-olds can swim. 10 and unders can have anybody 10 years old and younger. You get a 3-year-old in there. Okay? 15 and over is different than senior. Okay? Senior could be any age that qualifies for that event. 15 and over, the youngest would be 15. Okay? All scheduled meets need to be scored using USA Swimming scoring procedures. Check your meet manager file that's sent to you. Or make sure you check your meet manager file, because sometimes there are mistakes. So it's best to double check those. It's also best to check your template that's sent to you. Thank you to, and Carl is very good at checking templates that are sent. Clay is very good at checking, because we're human. We make errors. Okay, we don't mind you bringing that to our attention. When submitting meet announcements for sanctioning, send them in Word. Make sure you get, if you're doing your own invitational, get your meet referee's input about certain things. Avoid putting sanction number in multiple places. Carl, I love you, but I cannot have the sanction number in headers. Carl does a really beautiful header on all of his pages, but and I know y'all think I'm being picky on this, but if I have to go in and edit header every time I do a meet announcement, it really is like 5 minutes of my time. Okay, and when I'm doing 100 meet sanctions a year, it's difficult. Okay, so I would really like to have the meet sanction number in one place, and that's on the front page. All right. Personnel. All right. I would prefer that when you put the names on your meet announcements, that they are the names that are listed in the swim, how they registered with USA Swimming. Okay, so if someone has a hyphenated name, if they have a, so like, most of the time I know if it's Bill, that their first name is really William, I can figure that out. But some people, they have a totally different name. And I'm literally going through swims, typing in every combination of names that I can come up with. So it's really nice if you could put whatever they're registered with USA Swimming with, that should be the name on the announcement. Okay? So just ask them, how are you registered? Or let them see your deck pass or your whatever. Okay? And make sure before you send your announcement in, find out those certification expiration dates. Okay? I get them all the time that somebody's expired, and I have to send an email back saying, hey, this is not going to work. So it's much easier, it makes the process much smoother if you go ahead and check with your volunteers first to find out when their expiration dates are. Okay? And they have to be legal through the end of the meet. So if your meet is on November 4th and 5th, their certification has to go through the 6th of November, not the 5th, because they expire on the 5th. Okay? So through the 6th of November, this example. Please list only the essential names on your announcement. There is no need to list every single coach on your team. Okay? If you want to, that's great, but you're running the risk of more people being ineligible to be on your announcement. Okay? You only need one coach listed. I don't need 20. All right? Unless 20 people are actually going to be on deck each by themselves at the meet, which I hope that's not the case. But really, only the essential names are needed.
But if you're hosting, let's say, a 7-session meet,
right,
and you have 10 different safety marshals that are going to be working it, you need to list all 10 of them.
If any
head will be in charge of it.
That head person has to be there all 7 sessions.
Has it always been that way?
Yes.
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 So this kind of gets to your question. So if you have, this happened at a meet this year. We had somebody that was certified as a meet director and an AO. They were going to be a meet director on Saturday and an AO on Sunday. Okay? It's really nice to put that in parentheses. Because if someone's coming up to your meet and they're looking at your announcement, they go, I need to find a meet director, and it's John Smith. But John Smith is not the meet director that day. That's an issue. Okay? You're not in compliance with your sanction. So, pay attention to those kind of things. But, like, for example, Carl lists Carl, James, and
We
Mandy.
have about 10 safety marshals, and we only list the head safety marshal. We've done that for,
Right, but that head safety marshal is supposed to be there every single session. Well, I'm telling you what's supposed to happen. Because if I come to your meet and I ask for your safety marshal and they're not there, you are not in compliance with your sanction.
So you would need to list essentially everyone. So one of those persons is there.
Hold on. What?
so we have to list them all on the invitation.
All that are going to be there at any, that need to be there at any given time.
Until the week before.
So you only have one safety marshal at each session?
No, we have 2 or 3 in each session, but we have 10 qualified safety marshals and a head safety marshal who assigns them the week of the meeting. Finds out who's available and takes them there to work.
In order to comply with your sanction, whoever is listed on your meet announcement has to be there at any given time.
So you could.
One of the persons has to be there at any given time.
Yeah.
We don't all have any.
No.
So you would pick the names and ensure one of those people
Your
is
head
there.
safety marshal, they have to be there.
So
You've got John one day and Bill the other day. You have to have both of them.
yeah. So Carl, in that situation, pick somebody to be your head safety marshal on day 1, somebody to be your head safety marshal on day 2, someone for day 3, and list those 3 people. Get them to commit to the day.
Like I said, we have a coordinator for that, and I don't know who's working those until the meeting and sign them.
So you might want to list all 10.
All 10.
Yeah. Yay, more work for me. But I'm just saying, if you at any given time during your meet, somebody on each of those positions has to be there. Has to be at your meet doing that job. That make sense? I'm not kidding. Yes.
So going to the example you were given, and let me know if this has changed, you cannot be listed under more than one job.
You can, as long as you're telling me what day you are doing those jobs. You
Just wanted
cannot
to
do
verify
those 2
that,
jobs at
because
the
I know
same
it's
time.
been tried before.
Right.
You cannot do that. You cannot be listed as the only meet director and the only AO.
No.
If you're listed as a meet director and an AO, it has to be non-contradictory.
And you'd have to have somebody else on there because you'd be sharing a time. Yes.
I just wanted to.
Yes. Yes.
I'm sure it would never happen. So what would be the ramifications if you were not compliant?
Your sanctions would be pulled and your times would not be legal.
Yeah, sanctions pulled, times aren't legal. And Melissa, it also depends on what that infraction is. You run the risk of doing something that's voided your insurance and covers an accident at the meet. And if a parent, and if something really happens, you've put your team in a whole lot of jeopardy.
I'm just thinking.
What?
No, I was just saying the importance of, for example, we're sisters, so one time we had to leave to go to a funeral, and we had to we would have to revise the sanction at the very last minute to plug somebody in.
Right.
Is that possible, if that happens?
If someone's at the computer that can do it, yes.
Life happens. Yeah.
I mean, it's a thing of, changing a number and just, getting it to me mainly, I think, is what it is. Getting it to me and making sure that it's in my hands.
And making a phone call. When you have those emergency situations, call the Gulf LSC. Call the office and we will get in touch. We
Just
get
make
it
sure
done.
you have somebody there. I think that's the main thing, is having somebody there and we can get the paper stuff done and, communicating. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so I think I covered that last one. Okay. All right, revisions. Things happen. Things change. What do? Okay. Meet personnel changes, facility issues, venue changes, session start time change. We've had that. Meet formats change. We've had that. Revisions must be initiated by the host team. I do not make the revisions on your announcements, so we pretty much covered that. Okay. They should be revised by the meet director and sent to the sanctions coordinator. Double check the versions you're using. So when I complete your announcement, I put my initials and the date on there at the end of the word announcement. Okay, so that's how that's how you should know when the most updated version is. And then we do add an R1, R2, whatever your revision number is. But you could also look at the date. So just make sure, as I'm sending you, if you're doing revision after revision, some people, make sure that you keep the most current copy of that announcement in your files. Okay? Hasn't happened, but one time I think we got something confused. So. All right, Mr. Adams.
Here, if y'all keep the remote, I can forward for him.
Okay. You want to use this? You want the rest of it?
I'll do it right here.
Okay.
Renting golf equipment, again, needs to be done like everything else, 8 weeks in advance. We're seeing a few scenarios, things come up where facilities have the school district equipment and they're using that. Well, last second, boom, give me a call. We'll get you equipment. We have 3 trailers. I like what this says. They're all kept in Kingwood. We can get you equipment. We've not failed anybody yet on equipment. Training. You must be trained to use the golf equipment. We don't just give you a trailer with $60,000 worth of equipment and expect you to bring it back the way you got it. So we will train you. One of the 3 of us will. Radios seems to be a huge issue these days. We've got so many different meets going on. A lot of you are wanting to purchase your own radios, which is a great idea. All that we ask is to make sure that you're telling two-way direct that you need those the same frequency as what golf swimming is using, because your meet referees, a lot of these officials have their own radios. You want to be able to talk to your meet referee, so they need to be on the same frequency. As stated, and you can see it, it's $100 fines for things that you're not doing. All of it's done through Golf Pay, which is what we've been doing the last couple of years, and has worked out fine. Any questions on equipment? Yes.
You might want to mention that you're going to get hit with a last minute request. Typically, we got hit with several last minute requests for hearing impaired strobes.
Okay, on hearing strobes, we only have Colorado. So if you're dealing with Daktronics, and we've talked about getting some Daktronics stuff, but we've not done so. We have Colorado, and they are not multi-chain. You can't use Colorado on Daktronics.
But just let everybody else.
Yeah.
Question, how's the training done? Do you do it prior to meet? Do we have to come to a certain
It will be at
location?
least a month in advance, at least a month.
And where would it take place?
You will come out to Kingwood. We will walk through a trailer with you, how to take the equipment out, how to put the equipment back, because it must come back the same way you pick it up. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. I think we're gonna skip the, you wanna skip the break? We're gonna skip the break because we did get started late. Obviously, if you need to leave, come back in quietly.
Once again, the tough act to follow. All right, so I'm going to talk about stuff that's getting closer to the meet. Awards. Every kid loves awards. All their parents, especially the younger the kid, think they love them even more. So at a minimum for golf meets, we need ribbons. You can order those through Angie at Hasty. She's really good. I actually worked with her a few weeks ago, and she's really fast with a lot of stuff. So, here's a chart that will help you figure out what awards you need. I believe this is on our website.
Or it gets emailed and sent out to the hosts of the championship meets.
Meet Manager software, if you're not familiar with Meet Manager software, the best way to learn it is to get with someone who does. So find someone on your team or find someone on a neighboring team who learned how to use Meet Manager, get some hours in front of it, ask for it to be put on your computer. It's easier once you understand it, but it does take some practice. Need to use Meet Manager 6.0 for golf website or for golf sponsored meets. You can use touchpad if you have a club sponsored meet. Make sure it's updated, and then you can update time standards periodically throughout the year. Those are usually posted on the golf site. Setting the meet up. Work with your meet referee first. Like the first person First person you should send this to is your meet referee to make sure you guys are on the same page. From a logistical standpoint, and what he can tell all of the other officials, and what the AO needs to know for their side of the meet. Okay? Once again, if you don't know how to use Meet Manager, get with someone who does.
I'm sorry if I may real quick. Ladies and gentlemen, the only bathrooms that are going to be open are the outside bathrooms. The locker rooms will be closed. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so Meet Manager, AO, clerk of course, they should all know how to do a lot of these basic things on Meet Manager, and these are probably the things that you're going to learn first. How to print certain reports that will be in your pre-meet packet, how to add an athlete, how to make a correction, printing heat sheets, seating an event, combining an event. Get with someone who does know how to do all the ins and outs. It will really help you. Okay? We already talked about equipment. More stuff on equipment. 3 weeks out, or we're talking about the period 3 weeks before the meet to 2 weeks after the meet. Okay? Whether it's a golf meet or an invitational, meets with multiple sites are sent to the tech planning chair. We've already gone over that. Locations are based on athletes, entries, and officials. For single site meets, we've discussed this already. When a team is hosting a golf meet, they'll usually get their backup within 3 or 4 days after the entry deadline. So usually it's at minimum 2 weeks in advance, if not closer to 3. Your meet director, your AOs will look over all the entries and make sure that all the teams are there. Make sure you're not missing anything from what has been posted on the golf website. So I email out the file. The teams will generate the financial list. They will send that to all the teams who are attending their meet. You will collect the entries, collect the fines, or get ahead of myself here. You will collect the meet entry fees and make sure you keep track of those. They're welcome to mail them, or if you want them to just bring you a check the day of the meet, that's completely up to you. All right? You need to send the meet back up to Lauren, and Lauren will check for USA ID numbers, kids who are unregistered, kids who need to be unattached because of the 120-day rule, kids who are in the wrong gender, or sometimes parents will mix up, like they'll put their last name first and the first name last. And so then you have an incorrect USA ID. All right, so all you have to do is email the backup to Lauren.
So Bo, Annette's out of it.
Yep.
Okay.
Correct. Okay, something new this year. Golf does have to accept unattached athletes. So if you have a club meet and it's an open invitational and anyone can show up, if there's an unattached athlete that shows up, you do have to accept them into your meet if there is space. If it's a golf-sponsored meet, unattached athletes will be assigned to a specific location. Since October was the first meet that we did that, I assigned them to dads because it was the most central. We had 0 unattached athletes. So it's in there. It might be of use in the future. If you're having a dual meet, if you're having a tri meet, if it's in your announcement that it's limited to certain teams, then it's only open to those certain teams. It's not open to unattached, or if you're attached to a different team that's not listed. Yes.
So the swimmer has to have a coach on deck for warm-ups and during the meet, or just warm-ups?
An unattached athlete must be supervised at all times while they are on deck by a USA Swimming certified registered coach. It is the warm up and warm down. It is the meet. Okay. They have, and under this is a new rule with USA Swimming. It's not a golf rule. The other part of this rule is that we do have to accept the unattached athlete, but the athlete and the parent you can shift the responsibility for finding that coach to the athlete and the parent under this rule. There's also another rule that says the meet director and the meet referee would have to accommodate, but if they're unattached, you can say you need to make arrangements, and the meet director and the meet ref do not at this point have to help them find that person per se. We used to have to help them. Now there's a little bit of, you need to find this person. And then oftentimes coaches will have questions about that. If you're accepting responsibility for an unattached swimmer as a coach, that coach is legally responsible for them, insurance and all. Clay?
So in that situation, do we have a simple form? Because it needs to be, because I'm not going to host a meet with unattached swimmers, that I don't have a signature saying I'm taking responsibility for this swimmer, and that's kept by either the meet referee or the AO.
Yeah, and we can, USA Swimming has a form that they use at national level meets. They used it at December at the meet that AGS hosted, and we can get a copy of that and put it on the website for you guys to download as a resource. We'll put our logo on there, but we can't tell you that you have to use it, but I can provide it as a resource. It's not a bad idea. It's actually an excellent idea.
Question behind you.
This may be a stupid question, but
There's no stupid questions.
we have meets that we host that we sometimes have adult master swimmers show up to. Do they have to have a coach there and be supervised by a coach as well? Or if they're 55?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
It's not a kid, Bob.
Pretty sure it's under 18.
No, they have to have a coach.
They have to have a coach under these rules.
Okay.
But he usually does.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they
They can't be their own coach.
They can't be their own coach. You have to have a coach for the rule.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, I would think if you're having unattached swimmers in your meet, you're going to want to communicate with the parent who entered them that they must check in with you each day of the meet to make sure that the coach is there and present. Because if they're swimming in the meet and they don't have a coach on deck, then there's liability issues with insurance if they get hurt and all that.
They've gotten.
Yeah.
It's the kind of thing where we maybe give the forms, like as a meet director, and I have an unattached swimmer come to me and I say, here are the teams that are coming, it's up to you to get in touch with those coaches and see who will take you on. Here is the form, when you get that person, have them sign this form, and you bring that to the meet to me, and I will let you on deck.
Yes, and that's absolutely the way to do it. And I would get a form for every day because there is the insurance aspect of this.
That's the way the national meet works for every athlete.
Yep. And there's no reason why we should not get our parents and athletes into the habits and the practices that are going to be required when they get to those national meets. The more we practice that at the LSC level, the better prepared our athletes are when they have the opportunities to move up to those national level meets. It's more of the same in a different setting for them.
So, kind of a follow up to this is probably a corner case, but we've got a couple of coaches that on a Sunday might not show up.
Athletes can't
they're not technically unattached, but those
if a coach does not show up, those athletes have no coach. They're out of the meet. And I'll tell you, there's no faster way to have parents revolt than for you to look at their team of kids and say, I am so sorry until your coach shows up. Because you can ask another coach to take responsibility for an entire team, but
technically, are they allowed to?
No, they can't. They have to be supervised by a coach. Their coach has to be present.
But it doesn't have, can another coach from another team take responsibility?
He can. He can.
Not me all the time.
Well, part tomorrow. Yeah, you can get if Clay doesn't show up for the meet, since Clay, Mark, and Terry are sitting back there together. If Clay doesn't show up for the meet and his athletes are on deck, you can ask Mark or Terry to take responsibility for them. But they're going to look at 22 to 122 of Clay's kids, and they're going to go, "Where's Clay?" But they have on deck. Athletes must be supervised by a USA Swimming registered, certified, credentialed, valid, deck pass has to be all green, coach.
All right.
Well, I was gonna say, we have a family that shows up every year and says the dad is the coach. And this year,
he registered?
This year we replied, said please send us copies of all of his credentials.
No, his deck pass.
Well, they're asking to get entered into the meet also. So we don't want to accept their entries if they
take their money.
All right. So the swimmer recon, we talked about this, is send it back up to Lauren, and that is out. All right. Monday prior to the meet, you need to post the timeline, warm-up and timing assignments on the golf website. You can send those to the webmaster. You can send those to Lauren as well. Okay? Determining the warm-up schedule. Warm-up start and duration is determined by the host club. So based on how many people are in your meet, what your facility allows for, you can set the warm-up schedule. Recommended guidelines would be 12 athletes for a short course lane, 25 athletes for a long course lane. Each team does need a fair and equal allocation of all the lanes, even if they need lanes in multiple sessions. So if one team is way too big and they need every lane in one session and a few lanes in another session, that's so every team is swimming with equal numbers. All right? Warm-ups cannot start until the safety marshal is on deck.
Even if you have lifeguards on duty.
Even if you have lifeguards. All right? When you're determining timing assignments, the host team does not need to assign themselves chairs, but they can, depending on the size of other teams and the amount of athletes they're bringing. Some host teams are very, very generous. It happened to me this past weekend. I was very appreciative of that. And then allocate the number of chairs based on the number of athletes each team enters in each session. So if a team doesn't have any kids in the afternoon session, you can't assign them any chairs.
And make sure you look at the session and not just the entire amount, because some teams may bring a lot on Saturday and hardly any on Sunday. So you have to pull each of those session reports.
All right. So that's Monday before the meet, and then coaches and officials. If you have an expired credential or any part of your credential is expired, that person cannot be on deck. They cannot approach athletes. If they're involved in an incident, you compromise your insurance. You and your referee will receive this the week of the meet. I think they get this from Eddie.
They do?
Yep. All right. You'll get a list of registered. You'll get a list of expired. You'll also get a list of people who are almost expired.
I don't hit each meet director on this list. If you want one, you may email me. We'll forward it to you. I normally just get one meet director, meet referee, and AO of each meet.
All right. Programs for heat sheets. So it should be kind of a cover sheet. This would be something that you put online. Have the order of events, have the timeline posted. Heat intervals, which is set up in Meet Manager. That would go on your timeline. Have a list of participating teams in the athlete count, warm-up and timing assignments, any sort of qualifying times or time standards, and then names of key people there. If it's at the front of each heat sheet, it's going to be easy for everyone to find and locate that information. Look back at previous announcements or other stuff on the golf website. There's a lot of great examples. At the back, you'll need a meet evaluation form. You'll need any safety information that's relevant to the facility. About 70% of all total swimmers, and then feel free to ask the teams that are coming. to your meet how many coaches that they're bringing, or about how many coaches they'll have at each session. That'll help you print that will help prevent you from overprinting and not have enough heat sheets. Yeah. Day of the meet, one of the most important things is you need to be visible. Not behind a computer, not in hospitality, not up in the stands. Be visible on deck. Be accessible to the meet referee, be accessible to the AO, be accessible to any coaches that are coming up to you, or all the volunteer coordinators that we learned about earlier. You need to evaluate, are the volunteers doing their jobs? Do they understand their jobs? Make sure you review the safety procedures. If you're a club that hosts meets at different facilities, it's going to vary for each facility. Once again, be visible and accessible. So you're going to communicate with the coaches by handing out relay cards. You're going to tell the announcer what announcements they need to make. You're going to post the heat sheets with on-deck entries, or maybe your runner will do that. You'll print the lane timer sheets, and any other thing that the meet referee asks. Once again, be visible and accessible. All right. Things that you will tell the announcer: clear the pool 15 minutes, call for timers, put out clipboards and watches, make sure you test the watches, make sure you have a pencil sharpener, things that are on the equipment. 5 minutes till, call the first event, call the timers over. Sorry, that's earlier. Play the national anthem. I prefer the quickest one possible. I think a lot of people do. Once again,
put your phone on airplane mode when you do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Be visible and accessible.
So they don't hear all your text messages during the.
Speak from experience.
Make sure you're visible and accessible. During the meet, you'll collect the relay cards. You will maybe determine ahead of time when they are due. Collect the lane timer sheets after each heat, after each event, and then make sure you print and post those. It's helpful to show splits, even though it's a little bit more paper. From a coach perspective, it's really good to have the splits on. All right. Okay. This is after the meet. You'll post the meet results in standard publication order. That's a box to check on Meet Manager. PDF format should include the team information page, any team individual scoring, results in publication order. 2 columns is usually good, and listing the no-shows, the DQs, and the scratches. Okay, send all this to Lauren, and then once it's cleared by Lauren, then it can be posted up on the website, and the results can be official. If you submit results late, it's $100 fine. Within 2 meets, you need to send a meet summary report with the team list, which will be a little bit different post-meet rather than pre-meet, because you get on-deck entries, or you'll get some late entries from teams. There's a meet evaluation form. They're usually very entertaining to read. Paige loves them. So if you get any of those, send them to me as well, and I can share them with the appropriate people. All right. You'll need to send the results file. You'll need to send the meet database and the results to the webmaster and to Rick Kellenbach. Meet director responsible for completing submitting these within 2 weeks. All of your splash fees and any fines, send it to Tom Haas. He's our comptroller. There's a financial report that you have to send in as well, and then the meet rebate report as well for golf meets. All right. Here's a copy of the rebate report. All right, hosted championship meets. For a championship meet, you need to tabulate the high point award. In golf swimming, you should supply the publicity coordinator with who is earning these awards and any sort of records that are. Currently, we don't have a publicity coordinator yet, but one should be named soon. All right. Ways to get help. Meet Directors Clinic notes right here. USA Swimming website has a whole section on directing meets. The golf website, lots of stuff on there. You're also welcome to contact one of us or help one of the best resources that I've heard is contact a neighboring team, especially if they host meets. Like if you're a team that hosts maybe 1 or 2 meets, maybe you don't have a lot of the officials, maybe you don't have the meet staff, it actually helps that neighboring team that does have a full staff and does have the people in place to help you become a stronger team and get those people on your staff. It gives them some more resources as well, and it gives them some more people they can bring to their meets. It helps you out also. So, thank you very much. Joel.
Please throw away your boxes in the dumpster out there on your way out.
All right.
Yeah.
So, a couple of announcements or comments, I think.
Yeah, couple. So just
Andrew's going to talk fast.
Yeah, I do talk fast. So, okay, so just a couple of notes I was making. Use common sense. So if you're setting up a meet and you've got like 8 and unders, make sure you get some parents set up to volunteer to be you've heard the cat leaders, right? The ready bench, whatever you want to call them. Super important. You won't regret doing that. Truly, think about it. If you're running 2 pool meets, you're running 2 short course pools, just remember you got to consider, you got both ends. Be thinking, oh yeah, right, I got to have double that, double this. Common sense says. Timelines, please work with your meet referees. Please, 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 because timeline is not going to run the same for like an 11 to 14 meet, a 15 and over meet, and an 8 and under meet. Let me tell you something. And your meet referee is going to be a little grumpy if you post a timeline and they go, that's already posted, I can't hit that. So please work with your meet referee, that would be fantastic. Just a consideration for some of you, if you're setting up volunteers for your meet, just consider setting up like an on-deck volunteer coordinator person. Get some parent that is knowledgeable about all different positions, because it will save your butt as the meet director, because they can run around and help you out and check things out and help train people and help make sure everybody's in the right spot. So just a consideration, just a thought. And if there's anybody in this room that is totally glazed over and you've changed your mind, you go, this meet director thing's not for me, I'm looking for officials. So you can talk to me, please. Thank you so much.
Hey, Andrea, the meet rebate form, is that something we need to be getting with the meet referee, because they're the ones that are going to be able to take care of that for you? Would that be acceptable?
The meet referee the meet referees have all been emailed already with the information on the rebate form, but they are not the ones that are filling it out. So the meet directors, all you have to do, and the meet referees all have got this information, you go to their check-in sheet and it lists who is there and from what teams and what sessions they work. So it's easy, just numbers.
Hey,
one last.
I'm going to be the last comment.
Henry?
One last thing. If your high school is hosting an invitational meet and you want it to be USA Swimming Observed, most likely your high school coaches or your high school organization has no idea what that means. But a lot of times kids will achieve USA Swimming times, championship meets and so on at these high school meets like TISCA or invitationals, meets like that. You need to help your high schools get the observed forms turned in to Rick Kellenbach so that the times count. If your high school is actually hosting the meet, Lauren should be able to help you recon the USA IDs, because I can guarantee you your high school coaches are not going to get your kids' USA IDs correct in that database. So
they have to, and they have to pay. There's a fee.
Form online.
So if you're doing a
it's online.
district, region, or meet, there's no fee. That's the Form D of observed meets. But if you're doing one here in the fall, like a TISCA meet or an invitational, and it's a championship style prelim finals, that can be observed, so all the USA swimmers in the meet can get credit for their times, and it'll go into the USA Swimming database. But your high school coaches don't know how to do that. You need to work with your high school coaches to make sure that the form gets filled out. Rick needs it 10 days in advance before the meet.
Where do we find those forms? Is it on the
Online.
It's on that same place where
same place?
form.
Yeah. Who has the sign-in sheet? Because I need that back. Okay. If you didn't sign in, please be sure to sign in, because otherwise it's going to be that you